Greetings, fellow Fright Fiends. It's your buddy Boogeyman Ben here for a new episode of Boogeyman Ben's Horror Zone, and this is another tag video. Again, I was tagged by my friend Sean Erschen, and this is the Scream Factory tag. And I was really anxious to do this one. I've been a big fan of Scream Factory ever since they first started releasing Blu-rays and DVDs back in 2012, I'm going to say. So it's a total of 10 questions, and I want to thank my friend Sean for tagging me, and I hope everyone enjoys my answers. So first question is, what was your first Scream Factory purchase? And my first Scream Factory purchase was Halloween 2. This was actually the first release that, one of the first releases that Scream Factory put out. They put out Halloween 2 and Halloween 3 at the same time. I didn't buy Halloween 3 until probably a year or two later, because at that time I was still not a big fan of the film. But I've said it many times, Halloween 2 is one of my favorite films of all time and one of my favorite sequels ever made. And prior to this coming out, there had been some, Universal Studios had actually, because they were the ones that distributed Halloween 2, they put out a release earlier in 2011, I'm going to say. But there was some controversy because they removed Mustafa Akkad's name from the opening of the film, so that caused a huge controversy. I actually have that disc. I was so happy that this came out, and the love that Halloween 2 so rightfully deserved was given to this release, and it really just showed the amazing features that Scream Factory could assemble for a release that was totally worth your money. And it was just the first taste of all the amazing stuff that this company was going to be releasing. Question number 2 is, how did you first find out about Scream Factory? I found out about Scream Factory, I believe it was on arrowinthehead.com. They had a lot of good reviews and a lot of information about, you know, up-and-coming releases, and I was always looking for special releases on Blu-ray and DVD as I was trying to really build my Blu-ray and DVD collection. Question number 3 is, what is your favorite Scream Factory artwork? My favorite artwork for Scream Factory is going to tie with the releases of Jeepers Creepers 1 and Jeepers Creepers 2. I just love these releases because these posters remind me of like old monster movie posters. I don't know what it is about them, that they pretty much really convey the theme of the film. And I just really feel like the artwork here really encapsulates the overall feel of what these films are going to be about. And I just absolutely love them. I think they're fantastic. Question number 4 is, what is your favorite and least favorite blind buy? So what Scream Factory release that I bought that I loved, having never seen it before, and which one did I like the least? For the best, this is a film that no one talks about, and it's not, it's a DVD release, but the movie's called Gravy. And this film I've never talked about. I don't even remember if I showcased it in a Blu-ray DVD haul video. I got this, I'm gonna say at least 2 or 3 years ago. This film is great, and I don't want to give too many things away, but it deals with cannibalism. It's got a fantastic cast. It's got Paul Rodriguez, Gabrielle Sidibe, Sarah Silverman, just to name a few people. And it's about these cannibals that break into this restaurant on Halloween and proceed to try to eat the people that work there. And it's really over the top and very comedic, but it's really well done, and it surprised the heck out of me. And it was one that I just picked up because I thought it sounded interesting and I liked the cast. But yeah, I absolutely love this film. It's a lot of fun, and I definitely recommend it to people that like that tongue-in-cheek kind of horror comedy. So Gravy is one that I picked up that I really loved without having seen it. And I wouldn't consider the next one saying my least favorite, but it's only one that I've watched. I've only watched this one time, and I picked it up just because I knew Kane Hodder was in it, and it was directed by Rennie Harlin, and that is Prison. Not to say this is a bad film. It's got a great cast. Of course, Viggo Mortensen's in it, who I'm a huge fan of. But for some reason, this movie I just wasn't interested in this movie upon watching it the first time. And I've only watched it one time, and I've owned it for at least 5 years. But I do need to give it another chance. But yeah, it's just one that for some reason I heard so many great things about it, and I went in with really high expectations, and it just didn't. For some reason, it just didn't capture my attention. Kane Hodder's scene is fantastic in it. I'd heard so much about that scene. I need to give it another chance, but this is probably my least favorite Scream Factory blind buy. Question number 5 is, what's my favorite non-collector's edition Scream Factory release? And that's going to have to be Psycho 4, The Beginning. One of my favorite horror films of all time, and a film that holds a real special place in my heart because it was Anthony Perkins' swan song as Norman Bates. But I also love that this is a prequel to the original Psycho, where it shows what Norman Bates went through and what was the breaking point for him to eventually murder his mother. Absolutely love this film. I think it's a fantastic release, even though it's not a collector's edition. I was disappointed because Psycho 2 and 3 were collector's editions, but I was just happy to have this film on Blu-ray, and I think this release is stellar. And it's got a commentary with Mick Garris and Olivia Hussey, who played Norma Bates in it. So yeah, I still think it's a fantastic release. Question number 6 is my favorite double feature. It's actually the only double feature I actually own. But it is, again, featuring my favorite actor, Anthony Perkins, and it is the double feature of The Destroyer and Edge of Sanity, two films that I've always enjoyed. I caught The Destroyer. I remember watching The Destroyer when I was probably about 13 years old for the first time because it was on HBO, and I saw that Anthony Perkins was in it. He was playing a part that initially, of the director of this sleazy kind of horror film set in this prison. Originally, Roddy McDowall was supposed to play the part, but I thought Anthony Perkins did a great job in it. It's not the greatest film, but Lyle Alzado as the killer in it, and Clayton Rohner, who I really liked from April Fool's Day, and also the amazing Deborah Foreman. Fantastic people in this film, and I think Anthony Perkins does a great job in The Destroyer. And then Edge of Sanity I've always enjoyed. It's a very, very twisted, very sleazy take on Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, and I think Anthony Perkins did a fantastic job in this. And it's like I said, for both these releases, I had The Destroyer only on VHS tape for the longest time. This is the first time both films have been on Blu-ray, so fantastic release, absolutely love it. So question number 8 is it's asking, says the biggest surprise that Scream Factory, Shout Factory has released or announced. With regards to what they've already released, I have to say the Halloween box set is something that I never thought I'd be holding in my hand, just because different studios, different distributors, I never thought that we would have something this fantastic in the States, just because of all the legal rights and everything. And plus, the fact that we got a pristine copy of the producer's cut of Halloween 6, which I absolutely love. This is just the crown jewel of Scream Factory releases, in my opinion, because I just can't believe it exists. Can't believe I'm holding it. This is one of the best releases ever put out, and I'm just so grateful that I own it. In terms of the biggest surprise that they announced, so I think Creepshow is probably the biggest surprise for me as of late. I mean, I just was shocked that they were going to be putting a special edition out of that, because it's one where I thought we would never get a special edition. I know they had one overseas that came out a long time ago, but we've never gotten one here in the States, and I'm so excited for that release to be coming out. It's probably one of my most anticipated movie releases this year. Question number 7 is a dream Scream Factory release. Salem's Lot. I really would love if Salem's Lot was released by Scream Factory. That is my favorite horror film of all time. And yes, we've gotten a new release from Warner Brothers where they did have a commentary by the late great Tobe Hooper, but I would love a special edition of that film because it is so fucking fantastic, and it's long overdue for some special features, behind the scenes features. I think that they could do so much great stuff with that. I think that would just be fantastic. Question number 9 is, if you could have any franchise turned into a box set from Scream Factory, what would you pick? Friday the 13th. I think the next biggest box set that they could put out would be all the Friday the 13th films. That would just be fantastic. Question number 10 is my favorite Scream Factory release. Now this is my tag, so I have a 3-way tie here. So my favorite releases by Scream Factory, and these all tie. First one is Psycho 2, one of my favorite movies ever. Absolutely love this film. I've sang its praises in so many videos. People know how I feel about it. It's fucking awesome, and even though there's not a ton of special features on this, the fact that I have this and it's a pristine copy of this film, I just think it just means so much to me, because this is one of the very first adult horror films that really just made me a fan of the genre and made me a fan of Anthony Perkins, who's my favorite actor. So yeah, this film is fantastic and this release is fantastic. The next one I want to talk about is The Exorcist 3. One of my favorite films of all time. In fact, I've said before, I love this more than the original Exorcist. This film is fantastic, still very, very scary, fantastically acted. So many great performances from George C. Scott, Brad Dourif, the amazing Ed Flanders, who I absolutely love in this film. Just terrific performances, an amazing film, terrifying film. Just as as eerie and terrifying as the original Exorcist, just in a different way. But absolutely love this film, and this release is amazing because you also get both cuts of the film. You get the theatrical cut as The Exorcist 3, and then you get the director's cut as Legion, which is what the original film was supposed to be called because it was based on William Peter Blatty's book. And he also wrote and directed this. So yeah, absolutely fantastic release, and one of the best that's ever come out of Scream Factory. And then the last one I want to talk about is probably everybody's favorite, and that's The Thing. John Carpenter's The Thing has really become one of my favorite horror films, sci-fi horror films of all time. In fact, I would put this over Halloween at this point. Halloween used to always be my favorite John Carpenter film, but this film is just fucking fantastic, and the more I watch it, the more I love it. Fantastic cast, and every time it's on TV, even when I'm not popping in the special edition Blu-ray, which is fantastic, every time it's on TV, I'm watching it. So no matter where it starts, it could start in the middle, it could be ending in 5 minutes, I'll still watch it until the end. Just one of those films that just gets better and better every time you watch it. A true fucking amazing classic, and one of the best releases from Scream Factory. That is it, my fellow fiends. Sean, again, thank you so much for tagging me in this video. And if anybody else wants to carry on the Scream Factory tag, I know this has been a few weeks that I was originally tagged, and a lot of people have done it, so I didn't have time to go back and look at how many people have already done the tag, but I invite other people. If you guys are a fan of Scream Factory and the products that they put out, please do the same tag and let me know, and I'd be interested in hearing everyone's answers to these questions. I'll list the questions down below so everybody can follow along and do the same video. I'd really be interested to hear what other people's answers are. I'd really be interested in hearing what other people think of the answers that I gave. And again, thanks to everyone so much for supporting Boogeyman Ben's Horror Zone. Again, if you want to support me on Patreon, the link is down below. And again, I got my social media links down below. And please stay tuned for some great content that's coming up real soon. Thanks so much for watching. Take it easy. Stay scared as always.